24th, and this is The View with Catherine Chang. Today's topics are behind the scenes of KMT candidate Li Mei-jhen to renounce her degree, and Taiwan loosens entry restrictions on foreigners and international students. First, I want to talk about behind the scenes of KMT candidate to renounce her degree. KMT candidate of the Kaohsiung mayoral by-election Li Mei-jhen tried to stop the controversy of plagiarism by giving up her master's degree. But why has Li Mei-jhen's way of managing the crisis changed so much? One of the reasons is the campaign team has different opinions. One side of them claim that she should be brave enough to apologize. However, the other side insists that she cannot admit her mistake. They thought the controversy would go away once they brought up President Tsai's thesis. Of course, this was wrong and totally wrong. And there's a saying that Li Mei-jhen apologized in tears and gave up her degree under the persuasion of the KMT chairman, Jiang Qichen. However, Li Mei-jhen denied it today, and she said the apology was her own idea. And there are several suspicions to share. A, what is the role of KMT chairman, Jiang Qichen? If he was truly the one who persuaded Li Mei-jhen to apologize, why did he delay for 24 hours? Why did he not do it immediately? B, what was their decision-making process? One version is that KMT leaders want Li Mei-jhen to apologize, and they even proposed the party chairman Jiang Qichen to apologize together with her. They reached a consensus in the end, and the 401-word apology statement was hastily written a few hours before the press conference. However, Li Mei-jhen also denied it. But, people wonder what happened. There's another issue I want to say. Li Mei-jhen is 41 years old, and she's younger than the DPP candidate Chen Chi-mai, who is 55 years old. However, she did not get a young people's support. Li Mei-jhen was overconfident and completed out of her league, which is what they say, 越级打怪. She tried to criticize President Tsai, but she's only a candidate for a mayoral by-election. Naturally, this resulted in a great failure. There are 2 points to keep our eye on in the future. First, will former Kaohsiung Mayor Han Kuo-yu campaign for Li Mei-jhen? Second, will the KMT win the Kaohsiung City Council Speaker election on July 31st? If not, Chairman Jiang Qichen will step down. Second issue I want to talk about, Taiwan loosens entry restrictions on the foreigners and international students. Talking about the foreigners. Starting from August 1st, foreign visitors seeking medical care will be allowed to enter Taiwan. The opening will apply to all areas of health care except for physical health check and cosmetic surgery. B, for international students, the CCC announced that final international students will have been, strained aboard due to COVID-19 will be permitted to return to Taiwan, including those from China. However, they will be required to remain in quarantine for 14 days. Here are the top stories. Today, we have 3 confirmed cases. They are a man in his 50s, a man in his 30s, and a woman in her 30s. All of them returned from Philippines. As tension between the U.S. and China escalated sharply, U.S. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo delivered a major speech on the U.S. relationship to China at the Richard Nixon's Presidential Library early this morning. I want to say that Pompeo remark was titled, "The Communist China and the Free World's Future." Nearly 50 years after President Nixon's historic trip to China in 1972, Pompeo used the symbols of the venue to emphasize a fundamental change in the U.S. policy toward China. And the former White House chief strategist Stephen Bannon told Fox News on the past Monday that Trump's War Council has laid out of the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse against the CCP, and they are National Security Advisor Robert O'Brien, FBI Chief Christopher Wray, the Attorney General William Barr, and the Secretary of State Mike Pompeo. Talking about Mike Pompeo, we know that in the speech, He said, "We open our arms to Chinese citizens only to see the CCP exploit our free and open society. We marginalize our friends in Taiwan, which later blossomed into a vigorous democracy." And he also said that we gave the CCP special economic treatment only to see the CCP insist on silence over his human rights abuses as a price of admission for the Western companies entering China. Additionally, Mike Pompeo said the former U.S. President Nixon worried about what will happen when he opened the world to the CCP was prophetic. He said, President Nixon once said he feared he had created a Frankenstein by opening the world to the CCP, and here we are. Moreover, Pompeo ramped up U.S. confrontations with China. He said Chinese General Secretary Xi Jinping is a true believer in a bankrupt totalitarian ideology. On the other hand, Reuters published an article to reveal that U.S. diplomats head to China despite row over Houston consulate, and the flight carrying an unspecified number of U.S. diplomats left Washington on Wednesday evening. And an internal email dated July 17 said the State Department was working to arrange a charter flight to Shanghai from Washington. The source said this flight has departed earlier than initially planned. I don't know what will happen that because they're closing down this and closing down that. Besides that, FBI arrested 3 Chinese for suspected military ties. Executive Assistant Director of the FBI National Security Branch, John Brown, published a statement and said that in interview with members of the Chinese People's Liberation Army in over 25 cities across the United States, the FBI uncovered a concerted effort to hide their true affiliation. In response to the closure of the Chinese consulate in Houston this week, China ordered U.S. to close consulate in Chengdu today. Well, I don't know how this kind of tit for tat will develop in the future. Lastly, the New York Times published an article, and the title is Beijing's Tightrope, and stand tough but avoid full rupture with the United States. They wrote, behind the scenes, senior Chinese officials seem to have little desire to escalate the tensions even further, concerned that many moves could play into President Trump's hand as he mounts his re-election campaigns. So you can see that this is going to be a heavy weekend for both the United States and China. So what will happen? Well, we'll see what will happen for the Chengdu consulate. Will close maybe in Taiwan time this Monday morning at 10 a.m. So we'll be tuning in. So this is Catherine Chang. Welcome to join this show. I'll see you next Monday. Bye.